welcome to the Milwaukee County Zoo and the Bird Show. I am sure that you all recognize this bird. Thank you. This is Norbert, the bald eagle. And he is just one of the many birds you will have the chance to see today. Other animals, like bats and insects, can fly. But what do birds like Norbert have that they don't? I'll give you guys a hint, it covers his entire body. If you think you know the answer, just go ahead and shout it out.
Feathers!
That's right, feathers. Feathers have allowed birds to fly higher, farther, and faster than any other animal on Earth. Feathers have allowed birds to occupy every corner of the globe, from the scorching deserts to the frozen tundra. And today, with the help of our birds like Norbert, trainers Erica, John, and I, you'll learn more about feathers and the birds who wear them. During today's show, there will be many free flight demonstrations where the birds like Norbert will fly directly over your head. For your safety as well as the birds, it's extremely important that you remain seated throughout the entire show. And please don't try to touch the birds as they fly by. One last thing I feel I should mention, if you do look up at our beautiful birds today, you might want to keep your mouths closed. Feathers have been on this planet for thousands of years. In 1861, one of the most revolutionary fossils ever discovered was revealed to the world because of a quarryman's nasty cough. This man paid his doctor's bill with a fossil he found in a limestone quarry in Germany. This fossil turned out to be the famous Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx was the first feathered fossil. And it was a dinosaur about the same size as Marshmallow there, our European barn owl. Archaeopteryx had wings about the same shape and size as marshmallows with claws on the edges of them. Archaeopteryx also had a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth. As birds evolved into the modern flyers that we see today, they lost those heavy jawed teeth and replaced it with a lightweight beak. They also lost the claws on the edges of their wings and now have talons on the tips of their toes. And I can tell you all that his talons are plenty sharp. Owls have a unique ability. They are silent flyers. As Marshmallow makes his way over to me, I want you all to listen very carefully. Probably didn't hear anything. That's because owls have fringing on their feathers, kind of like the tip of a comb. This fringing cuts through the air and muffles any noise his wing beats make, giving him silent flight. Well, how about a hand for Marshmallow, our silent flyer? Marshmallow is a pretty cute and tiny owl. We have another owl to introduce to you guys. I'd like you to meet Emerson, the Eurasian eagle owl. Eurasian eagle owls are the largest owl species in the world. Emerson there has some beautiful orange eyes. These eyes are teardrop shaped, and they go all the way back into his head. They take up about 2/3 of the room in his skull. Because owls have such large eyes, there is no room for muscles allowing him to move his eyes from side to side, like we can. So in order to compensate for this, owls have 14 vertebrae. That's twice as many as you and I have. These 14 vertebrae allow Emerson to move his head 270 degrees. It's almost in a complete circle. Some of you may have heard the old wives' tale that if you see an owl in a tree and you walk around the base of that tree 3 times, its head will pop off. Well, I am happy to tell you today that is not the case. Emerson also has those distinctive feather tufts or horns. Now, his ears are not right there. Owl ears are located on each side of their heads, much like yours and mine. Those feather tufts are used to help him camouflage in the woods. They're also used for territorial displays, and they tell us his mood. We know that he's quite comfortable right now. They're kind of up like that a little bit. Now there are a couple differences between the Eurasian eagle owls and great horned owls. Many people see Emerson and they think that he is a great horned owl. One is the size. Great horned owls are a little bit smaller. They have yellow eyes instead of orange eyes, and they also have a white throat collar. It's one of the most distinctive things that will differentiate the Eurasian eagle owl and the great horned owl. Well, Emerson here is a newbie. He's only a year and a half old. This is his first season flying. So we're going to see if we can give him a little bit shorter of a flight. Let's see if my trainer can come down center stage a little bit. Emerson does have feathers that go all the way down to the tips of his toes. Those feathers are to help keep him warm in the winter. They add a great amount of insulation. Owl feathers are quite fluffy. So Emerson, he looks like he's a pretty fluffy guy. How much do you guys think Emerson weighs? What would be your guys' guess? Any guesses? I don't know what you would weigh. 7 pounds, 15 pounds? Anybody else? 20 pounds? Okay. Emerson weighs 3.5 pounds. It's because he's got those lightweight feathers and hollow bones. Well, I'm going to have my trainer give Emerson a taxi ride off stage. Decided that he only wanted to do one flight for us today. There we go. Well, feathers, like those on ancient animals, such as Archaeopteryx, as well as modern birds, like Emerson and Marshmallow, those feathers are made up of the same substance that composes our hair and our nails. It is a protein called keratin. And speaking of protein, here come two tasty little nuggets we like to call Omelet and Casanova, our bantam Cochin chickens. They have feathers that go all the way down to the tips of their toes. Those feathers assist them when they're foraging for insects, and they help keep them warm in the winter. Cochins are native to South Asia, where they're primarily kept as pets. Here in the U.S., people also keep them as pets, and we sometimes refer to them as fancy fowl because of those feathered feet that they have. One of the things I really enjoy about birds is the great variety to their appearances, lifestyles, and even their intelligence. Now, when Emerson was out here, I mentioned to you guys that his eyes take up 2/3 of the room in his head. So if you do the math, that only leaves 1/3 for something really important, like a brain. Well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but owls are not the brightest feather on the bird. This little guy, however, is extremely intelligent. He's a member of one of the smartest bird species in the world. I'd like you all to meet my little feathered friend. Can you share your name? Nemo is an African gray parrot from the jungles of the Congo. Well, Nemo, it's after lunch. This audience is a little tired. Do you think, Nemo? Are they sleepy? Oh, what a nice big yawn. Well, I think that you should help wake them up. Can you do your rooster? Now that you are all a little more awake, Nemo and I are going to share a story with you. Are you all set, Nemo? All right. Well, once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far away, there lived a bird. What was his name? That's right, it was Nemo Skytalker. Nemo Skytalker lived on a planet completely covered in water. One day, Nemo Skytalker received a transmission from a princess. Was she pretty, Nemo? Yeah, she had long brown hair, blue eyes. Was she a lot like me? Yeah. Oh, she must have been a very pretty princess. This princess had been kidnapped by the evil Vulture Vader. Nemo knew that he was her only hope, so he chased after the evil Vulture Vader, and he hopped into his spaceship called the Big Wings. And he flew up to Vulture Vader's space station with a nice loud charge. When Nemo Skytalker got there, the space station doors were locked, so he had to knock. When Vulture Vader opened up the doors, Nemo Skytalker stunned him with his laser. Pew pew! Nemo Skytalker then rescued the princess. She was so grateful that she gave Nemo a big kiss. and they flew off into the sunset. Ready? Besides telling stories, Nemo thinks that he's unique in other ways too. Nemo, what makes you so special?
I can talk to people.
Nemo, I can talk, but I cannot fly. You have us all beat. Nemo, can I give all these folks a nice big wave goodbye?
I can fly.
How about a hand for Nemo? Well, Nemo is quite a little charmer. But before you all run out and buy your own parrot, there are a few things you should know. One is that parrots live a very long time. A bird like Nemo can live to be in his 70s. Other parrot species can live to be over 100 years old. They also need a lot of attention and can be quite destructive. They don't make the best pets for most families. Sometimes people ask what the difference is between a parrot and a macaw. Well, here to help show us, we have Rio. Rio is a red and green macaw. As you all can see, she's quite a bit larger than Nemo. She's a member of the second largest parrot species in the world. She also has a big, thick beak that she uses to crack the seeds and nuts in her rainforest home. Those are the two main differences between a parrot and a macaw: their large size and their thick beak. Rio's got some beautiful bright feathers, reds, greens, and blues. All those colors that you are seeing have nothing to do with pigment. That's what gives our skin and hair its color. The colors are actually created by how the light hits and scatters off of her feathers. If you were to hold one of Rio's feathers up to direct sunlight, it would actually appear completely gray. You might think that all those bright feathers would make it really difficult for Rio to blend in her rainforest home. They actually help to camouflage her. If Rio is feeling threatened by, say, a bird of prey, she would fly in a large flock with other macaws. All that brightly colored movement would make it extremely difficult for the predator to pick out just one bird. Well, parrots love applause, so how about a hand for Rio, our brightly colored flyer? It's pretty easy to see where Rio got her species name, the red and green macaw. Our next bird also gets its species name from some brightly colored feathers of its own. Chances are, if you've seen a raptor in your neighborhood, it's probably a member of our next bird species. Coming to us from the fence on the right, we have Wagner, the red-tailed hawk. Red-tailed hawks are biologists call an opportunist. This is because they eat many different types of prey and will live in lots of different habitats. Wagner here, he eats snakes, squirrels, rabbits, mice, small birds. I'm sure you guys get the idea. You can find these species hunting on the side of freeways, and recently they've taken to live in suburban areas and the city. Wagner is giving you a great view of his red tail. It's not the same bright red as Rio's, it's more of a brick orange color. Red-tailed hawks don't get that tail until they are 2 years old. Before that, their tails are completely brown. Their eyes also change color as they age, becoming darker. If you were to see a red-tailed hawk in the wild, with a brown tail and light eyes, it'd be what we call a juvenile bird. There are 3 main characteristics to a bird of prey. The first is that large, curved upper beak. They use it as a knife and fork. It helps them tear apart their prey into bite-sized pieces. The second is their incredible eyesight. Wagner can see 10 to 15 times better than you and I. If you were to place Wagner on one end of a football field and a newspaper on the other, he'd be able to read that to you. Lastly, raptors have very strong feet. The bones in their feet are actually designed like ratchets, so they have to use more force and pressure to open up their feet than to close them. Wagner's grip is about 5 times stronger than the average human male. A great horned owl has between 400 and 500 pounds of pressure per square inch, and a bald eagle has about 1,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. Once these birds grab a hold of their prey, it's not going anywhere. With all this hot weather, I am sure that many of you are wondering how it is that birds stay cool. Well, there are several ways in which birds dissipate heat. One way is by lifting up all their feathers. This allows cool air to circulate against their skin. Another is by panting and mantling. It's where they open up their wings to try to have a little cool air against their skin.
Oh yeah,
once
it's in
more.
Jessica.
Our next bird has a very unique way of dissipating heat. I'd like you guys to meet Baton Rouge, the king vulture. King vultures are found in South America. And as their name suggests, they are the king of the vultures. King vultures, they're the first ones on the scene when a carcass is there. As you can see, he has no feathers on his head. Now that is because when he does stick his head into a carcass, it won't get quite as dirty. As I mentioned, he's got a very unique way of dissipating heat. Now if you take a look at his legs, they're white. Baton Rouge does something called urohydrosis. That is where he poops on his legs to keep cool. So that white color that you're seeing, it's not natural and it's not a tan. Vultures have very weak feet, but they have very strong beaks. As I mentioned, they use these beaks to break into those carcasses. King vultures are unique because they were worshipped by the Aztecs. They believed that king vultures were messengers to the gods. The color of a bird's feathers is also extremely important when keeping cool. Dark feathers, they absorb more of that heat and sunlight, so they keep a bird pretty warm, while light feathers reflect the sun, cooling a bird down. Our next bird does a great job of illustrating this. She's from Africa, and she's completely black except for a white stripe on her neck and a white belly. She's also extremely intelligent. She's very similar to a species of bird that you would find here in the US. She's learned a behavior I think you all will enjoy. She's also related to some of what people consider the most mischievous birds. If I could have my volunteers stand up and hold those bottles like they were shown, we're going to bring out Einstein, the African pied crow. Now Einstein is going to take a look around. Einstein, do you see anything that needs to get recycled? What do you think? You guys might need to take a step down. Oh, looks like she sees an aluminum can. Now she knows that can be recycled, so she's going to place it into the recycling bin. All right, Einstein, you see anything else? Might need to take a step. Oh, I guess not. Sometimes it helps her see a little bit better. Well, looks like she found a plastic bottle. Now, she knows that bottle, it doesn't belong in the garbage. She's going to put it into the recycling bin. Well, how about a hand for Einstein and our volunteers? They did a great job. Einstein is a crow. She's related to rooks, jays, magpies. They're extremely intelligent birds. And if Einstein, who is a bird, can recycle, I know that all of you out there can recycle too. Einstein was an African pied crow. Pied means two colored. As you all saw, she was black and white. Well, we're going to bring back a famous American pied bird. I'm sure you guys recognize this one. I'll give you a hint. He has a white head and a white tail, brown body. We're going to bring back Norbert, the bald eagle. Bald eagles don't get that white head and tail until they are 5 years old. Before that, they're completely brown. Bald eagles belong to the sea eagle family. They've got those great big feet and sharp talons to help them catch fish. Bald eagles also have another unique adaptation. Their feathers are covered in thousands of microscopic barbs. These barbs trap air and create small air pockets, so that when a bird like Norbert dives in the water after fish, they don't get quite as wet. Bald bald eagles also built some of the largest nests in North America. A pair of bald eagles will return to the same nest year after year, bringing with them more and more sticks and branches. The largest nest on record was built in Florida. A pair of bald eagles had been returning there for about 10 years. This nest was built in a tree, and it became so heavy that it actually broke the tree. The nest weighed in at about 3 tons. For many of us, birds like Norbert represent wilderness and freedom. But it's important to remember that birds are not free from many of the everyday decisions that we make in our lives, which means that recycling, as we saw demonstrated, as well as conserving water and energy is extremely important, so the birds are around for us to enjoy for years to come. At the end of today's show, if you folks would like to come on up and get a closer look at Norbert, asking questions or take some pictures, please feel free to come on up. And if you would like to make a contribution to organizations that support conservation, like the Milwaukee County Zoo or the World Bird Sanctuary, you may do so with the help of our final bird, Cherry, who is also an African pied crow. You can come right on up to her, and she'll be more than happy to take any contributions you may have right out of your hand and place them into her donation box. Well, we hope that you folks have enjoyed our show today and enjoy the rest of your visit at the Milwaukee County Zoo.